do we have like an intro or something?
Do
Do we have an intro to
we
this?
have an intro?
I don't know.
We did
maybe.
have an intro.
I'm sure
Well,
we said something
not
last
officially,
time
because we only
this.
did it once.
Yes. Welcome to the second episode of TALKsteer, the podcast where Purple Petrol 13 and myself, Failgames, talk about things no one cares about our opinions on, and we drive cars in a video game while we're doing it, and that's why sometimes we also talk about video games on this.
Yes, because we are video game channels.
Yes. If you enjoy this thing, well, feel free to like and subscribe and let us know what we can improve if we ever do another one of these, which we possibly will. Today, we will be talking about what is the best Top Gear / the Grand Tour episode. What did we think of the new Top Gear, which isn't that new anymore? And James May has recently gone on record saying that the Top Gear format needs a rethink. What would we do if we had to relaunch it today? Let us commence. Right, Petrol, you first. What is your
Purple Petrol.
favourite Top Gear or the Grand Tour episode?
I was trying to think of this, because, like, the normal episodes, it's very difficult to pick one from another.
Yes.
So it'd probably have to be one of the specials. I think my favourite is probably is it the Bolivia one, with the Range Rover,
That is Bolivia, yes.
thing and the thing, yes, that one. If I had to pick one.
But why? That is, in
That
my
is
opinion, the
also a good
least
question.
memorable one.
It
Well, the
was
least
very
memorable of
adventurous
the proper
and
ones.
quite different, and I quite like all of those cars.
Can you name the other two cars that weren't the Range Rover?
There was a Range Rover. I always get the other one mixed up. Was it a Toyota or a Jeep?
One of them was a Toyota. What
And
was
then
the
James
third
May
one?
had a Suzuki.
Oh, he does
something.
actually know them, because I didn't. If I hadn't watched Dave on Christmas.
I haven't watched that episode for probably about 6 years.
Okay, if we're talking specials, I think my favourite must be either... I would have said the Africa special, I think, but I've seen it so often that I think I've seen it too often, so I'll actually say the Burma special where they drove around in lorries.
Oh yes.
That was excellent. Because for the specials, you really want as much chaos and just banter, let's be honest, as you can get. And I think that episode just sums it up. Just with the dirty t-shirts, trying to get a hotel, anything where they convert the cars, or in this case lorries, into like camper vans. I always love that.
Yes.
What about
By
the
the
normal...
Africa special, I guess you mean the original one.
I mean the
With
going...
Lancia, Oliver, and
Actually,
not finding
no.
the source of the
I
Nile.
do mean finding the source of the River Nile with the Subaru, and
because that's
as
the one I
Richard
suddenly
Hammond says
thought
at the
of.
end of that video, at the end of that special, you can't remember what the other two were, but you will be able to remember the Subaru, and he's right.
Oh no, there was
What were
another.
the other two?
Wait, was that
I think it was a
technically a
Volvo
special?
under...
I know the other was a Volvo 850R
Volvo and a
and
BMW
a
of some
BMW
description.
5 Series. Yes.
And the
Yes, the other one
backup
I've
car
suddenly
was...
remembered that was brilliant was a Ford Scorpio.
I
fell
think
in
it
the river.
was, yes. Oh, yes! That was brilliant.
Yeah, the other one that I've completely forgotten about that was also brilliant is the original American one.
Was
That's technically a special.
where they wrote slogans on their cars?
Yes, and it gave us the brilliant thing of a cow falling off the roof of a Camaro.
It wasn't a special. They define it. Oh no! It also comes. Oh no! I was looking at my collection of DVDs. I don't think they define it as a special. I think they can define it as a road trip.
Well, then that's probably my favourite non-special.
My favourite What about proper episode? Because if I had to choose one of those road trips, I'd say the Romania one, where they actually took nice cars. And
The thing is, I can't remember like a whole episode. I can remember all the bits, but I wouldn't be able to tell you how they went together.
For me, I don't think many people will have thought of this. The old people's car. That was so good. And I remember watching it with my grandmother, who no interest in cars, but she also just loved it. And that was peak Top Gear for me. Just
Which many
building
Top Gears with
something,
people aren't interested in cars.
building something, just having a laugh. That was brilliant. Okay, what would you say is your favourite feature then? Because that is sort of more of a feature than an episode.
Favorite? Oh, another one. Oh, no, hang on. There is another one. It is also not really a normal episode, but the one where they took the Gallardo Superleggera, the Aston Martin race car, and the
Oh yeah,
GT3
that's good.
around Europe to. Yes, and there was the one with the DBS and the Gallardo and the Ferrari to find driving roads somewhere. More recently,
DBS,
convertibles.
Gallardo, and Ferrari. That's Romania. That's the one I was talking about earlier, I think.
Ah, yes.
Yes. If we could distract ourselves from the interesting conversation and go back to the game quickly, I am pulling away massively from petrol.
Why are you ahead?
Because I went into second gear when it went uphill.
I see.
Should I slow
Anyway,
down?
I got sidetracked again. What were you
Yes.
asking me before I went off about another episode?
No, I wasn't asking. I was asking you your favourite feature. So as in, like, how the teenagers' cars might be considered a feature.
Oh,
Oh! Second favourite. The one where they wrap the cars in wrapping paper.
Oh, yes.
They go to a shopping
that's
centre
funny.
and do 80s things with them or whatever it was. I don't actually remember the premise of it, but I remember it being very funny.
Yes, it was.
What was the premise? Do you remember?
Wasn't it to prove that hatchbacks from their era are better or something?
Yeah, I think that could be it. Okay, sorry for interrupting.
That was quite funny.
What would you say is your favourite? Or favourites, again?
I'm trying to think of... I don't know, like, I don't find anything, like, immediately comes to mind. Not like specials where it's like, you immediately remember something.
Do you not?
I think I've seen them all too much.
Yeah, I also have that problem, but what about just the lorry drive? The lorries,
wait.
for example.
That was
also
quite good.
That was good.
The amphibious cars were good.
Which one? The first or the second?
Both, but probably the first,
Which do
mainly.
you prefer? I also prefer the first, actually.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was better. And the British Leyland cars was quite
Oh,
good.
yeah. While we're on the subject of the features being very entertaining, new Top Gear. I love it. It's a shame it went, because the new trio, they were really good at just making you laugh. It wasn't quite as subtle.
Oh god, a victory.
It wasn't as subtle, and it was a lot more juvenile than the old Top Gear, if that's possible. Old Top Gear. Old Top Gear in this context meaning like season 1 to 23.
Yeah, we call the one before that Top Gear BC.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, I really enjoy it. I think it's, especially the features, are so well thought out. Like, we've got building your own battery-powered car, turning a Daimler hearse into a family car. That was some of the best television ever. Also, the specials, so to speak, were also really good. Some of them more memorable than the original Top Gear ones, and definitely more memorable than some of the Grand Tour ones. Note how that hasn't even been mentioned in our favourite Top Gear Grand Tour episodes. No one mentioned Grand Tour at all.
I thought we hadn't got to that bit yet.
Oh, hadn't we? Oh, I thought... Oh, sorry.
But I probably agree that it'd always be stuff from the old Top Gear that I'd pick. Of, like, memorable things.
Memorable
Probably
from
'cause I've
new
seen them
Top
more
Gear.
often.
Another one I really found entertaining, even if it wasn't exactly the most intelligent television ever produced, when they had to spend 24 hours in company cars. Like, it was a Tesla, a Volvo,
Yeah, I do remember that.
something else.
I can't remember what the other thing was.
It's all. I went through the list of challenges they did before we started this podcast today. There's so many things that I completely forgot about, and as soon as I read the premise, was like, oh yeah, that was brilliant. Like futuristic caravans and building an off-road ice cream van. Like, they had ideas, And they were entertaining. Really, if you haven't watched it, give it a chance.
Yeah, the most recent ones are quite good. I have actually seen them now.
Ignore everything between 23 and 26.
Until they finally decided to get 3 people in that were going to stick with it, you mean?
Yes. Well, we're going to stick with it until they kept crashing.
Well, yeah, and then they didn't.
And in terms of just the car reviews themselves, Chris Harris was brilliant for that. Perfect choice. And the chemistry between the 3 of them, it was there. That was...
Yeah.
It was a lot better than the previous ones in terms of...
Definitely.
Everything, basically. The problem is...
It got there eventually. It's a shame it then got cancelled.
Yeah.
I started watching Top Gear from the very beginning of 2002, like a year and a half ago. And I've watched those ones quite recently.
Did you also watch, like, the ones in between that shall only sort of be mentioned?
Yes, I did, but...
I think I
wish I hadn't.
I think I rewatched them once, and then never again.
It was quite interesting, though, because I don't think I've ever seen, like, the first 5 or so series properly before.
I have started it, like, 2 or 3 times, actually, at Series 1, Episode 1, and it's just...
I watched it all the way through.
It's okay, but really you need to
start...
You really need to start at Season 4-ish, I think.
Yeah, around there.
But for the first 3 seasons, you might as well watch them while you're at it.
I mean, they are good. They're just... They kind of get more entertaining as they go.
So, unless you have anything more to add, do we move on to the Grand Tour?
Yes, we need to talk about that a bit.
Yeah. I like the Columbia special and the RV holiday.
Yeah. They have the specials have been alright, although...
Yeah. Not all of them.
I don't know.
The recent ones were sort of watch them once, watch them twice, and then... Yeah.
I didn't find the first couple that interesting either, the boat and the Madagascar one.
I felt the boats were... They weren't the first, were they? What do you mean by the first?
The first, like, special that wasn't part of a series.
Was Madagascar not part... Oh, no, it wasn't. No, Madagascar was a bit... It was interesting. It was another one of those that was like, watch it once or twice.
Yeah.
I like the boats, though. I've watched that a couple of times. I really enjoy that. I forgot about that. That is... They're definitely top 5 of anything.
I've watched Lockdown and the French one again recently.
I'm not sold on either of them. I thought they were entertaining, but... And I will watch them again, obviously, but they weren't, like, the best work.
No.
What did you think of the most recent one, the Scandinavia?
Oh, yeah, that... What, no, Euro Crash?
Oh, yeah, Euro Crash.
It was sort of similar. I liked it, but... I'm probably not going to watch it again. Scandi Flick, I might. No, Scandi Flick I did watch again.
I'm obviously going to watch all of them again because...
Well, at some point I will, but not...
But it's not one I'd go out of my way to watch.
No.
Not like Burma Special, for example, or... What else was there? I've completely forgotten.
Many things.
I say completely forgotten. I do remember. I would remember them if you said them.
There's been like 30-something series of these.
So, what about just regular Grand Tour criticisms? Just why do you think it didn't work as well as Top Gear did?
Did it not?
Or well, some aspects
like
of it. Yes, old Top Gear.
I don't know really. I think it just... I don't know. Something about them moving just meant that... I think they tried to make it too much like Top Gear to begin with.
Yeah.
A bit like Top Gear did with the new... when it first got new hosts.
So what I mean by where it didn't work as well, or whatever it was I said, is in like... It didn't feel like it has... It doesn't feel like it has the same... popular
no, it wasn't like
culture
they just moved
value
and then
yet,
it was the
or
same.
it's also not loved as much, if you will. I mean, it was certainly enjoyed, but it's not... Because, like, the individual road trips and stuff, they're really good, but I think there was too much time spent on... I don't think they should have done car reviews.
Well, and they messed about with the celebrity stuff.
That was really
too
stupid.
much.
They shouldn't have done that either. But I don't think they should have done car reviews at all. They should have just, if they wanted to use like new cars, they should have done it like they did the Bentley, Aston Martin, and BMW, where they just road
Or
trip
just
them.
go on the trip with them.
Yeah. Because at this
That's a shame,
point,
because that's sort of how it started, didn't it? Because that's what they did straight away, was the Ferrari, Porsche, and McLaren
Yeah.
as a road trip.
well, did they actually go on a road, or did they just stay on a racetrack for most of it? Because there was a problem
James
with the Ferrari.
May did, because he couldn't drive it on the road.
But that was sort of how they should have tested cars, because at this
Yeah,
point,
they've done more of that.
if
Would
you
have been
want to
brilliant.
watch a car review, you're not gonna watch TV. You're gonna go on YouTube, or you're gonna go on, well, or read something
Well, that's
about
also
it.
part of the problem. It's quite hard to make a structured show now about that sort of thing.
On the other hand, I feel like some of the individual challenges would never have worked as challenges because you would have just got bored of them at some point. So having something in
Yeah, that's
between
true.
to
It's
break
good
it
to
up
sort of
is what
split
made
it
it
up.
best. But maybe you could have just had conversation street to split it up. Because
Yes, they could
people
have
enjoy that.
several streets.
But I think if I'm remembering correctly, the hosts never particularly... Well, they never... It was always a lot of effort, allegedly. Or there was something wrong with making news type segments.
It was kind of more. It wasn't like the old Top Gear news. I don't really know like how, but
Well, they didn't talk about news. They talked like... There was usually like
About
two
other
things
stuff.
that was news, and then they talk about where they were that week. Or they do...
yes, they needed more news in that segment.
The problem with the news is it does date it a bit. On the other hand,
True, but it's
that
quite funny.
hasn't really impacted any of my rewatches of any particular episode. Because
No,
it's
the news
just,
is
it's just
brilliant.
funny. So, unless you have anything more to add, James May recently announced Top Gear needs a rethink. Top Gear has been cancelled recently, like it's been cancelled completely. Well, I say cancelled completely, it hasn't been. It's been cancelled officially.
There's no plans to make
Yeah,
more of it.
but they will probably make more of it, let's be honest, at some point. They'll use the
It's
name
too big a
again.
name. They're gonna have to use the name.
Yeah, they
again.
use the name because, well, that's how media works these days.
If they don't want the name, we're more than happy to take it off their hands.
Yeah. So, it needs a rethink. What would you do if you were tasked today to do Top Gear?
You see, that's difficult because there's like some features I would keep.
Yeah.
And,
So
like
what
the basic
features, for
format
example?
of it, I would probably keep it quite similar.
Mm-hmm.
But it would depend who was going to present it. So I don't know. Like having the news segment kind of worked because they were funny and it was them.
For that,
That probably
you...
doesn't really work anymore.
But there's a lot of funny people who are into cars. So you
There are,
so
but
you
any
would
of-
be
I'm not
able
sure,
to do
would
that.
you find one that was willing to do the show?
Okay, well, ignoring the aspect of hosts, let's say you have 3 perfect hosts, charismatic, they work together very well, they're really funny, and they're really good at what they do. We don't have to name anyone unless you want to.
Okay, well, in that case, I'd probably like do that bit, like you said with the Grand Tour, review cars with 3 of them rather than
Yeah.
just doing traditional reviews. Do that, do the news, get rid of the celebrity thing maybe completely, because that's kind of happened now. I don't know. And then do some specials. They'd have to do like cheap car trips as well as new car road trips, I think.
Yeah. The thing with the celebrities is I don't think many celebrities would actually go on it anymore. Because to the sounds of it, it was a lot of people who went on it because they wanted to. Whereas now, a lot of celebrities just wouldn't.
But yeah, I'd also like them to like think of something completely new and different to put in.
On the spot.
Depending on who it is, something that's
Go on the spot. Come up with something completely new and different.
Oh God.
Do we need to put in some elevator music here because I couldn't come up with
Yes.
anything on this?
Ooh. What could...
Okay, while you're thinking of that,
This is the
I'll
problem. This
talk
is why
about...
they haven't introduced anything new. There's not really a lot you can do.
So I agree with you that for the car tests, I wouldn't go as far as putting 3 people. I'd have 2 and then just put basically a head-to-head, sort of like how our challenge videos work.
Oh yes,
But
yes,
you
we
just
should do those.
not necessarily the same structure, but just 2 cars that are similar, and then just find out which is best with a series of challenges, but slightly more scientific challenges than we usually do. Like,
You've given me an idea.
oh,
They need an ongoing racing series between the presenters.
they need an ongoing racing series.
Right, no.
No, wait, but
Each week, somebody picks them a really stupid car.
yes,
And they all 3 do a very short race in it. And there would be a standings.
I don't think you'd
that
need
goes
the
on throughout the
standings because that would
series.
eat up time. But I'm sure you'd
Well,
find
no, you
a
just show it
nerd
as
on
like
the
a
internet.
scoreboard at
No, you
the
did
end.
find a nerd on the internet who'd do it for you, because the people who are interested in the standings, they'd Google it. And everyone
That's true.
else doesn't
really
care.
You want the content.
Yeah. That's a brilliant idea, actually. But just where would you put? Would you put it in the middle? Would you have like the news followed? Would you have?
I would just like replace
car
the
test.
celebrity segment with that, wherever that goes,
That
somewhere
was
in the middle.
usually after the news, I think.
Yes, there I think.
Was it? Yeah, somewhere around. No, it was different. It was around the 40-minute mark.
I think so. Yeah, I think that would be good somewhere in the middle to split up whatever they're actually doing. Just chaos.
But would you actually keep the studio? Would you keep the studio, or would you
Ooh, that's
have
a
it
good
all
point,
be
actually. What, just
off-site?
cut from one thing to another?
Yeah.
Well, if they're not doing... I'm supposed to be a news segment, but that doesn't necessarily have to be in a studio.
Yeah. But, and how would you... The question is, how would you do a transition? Would you just sort of go cut to fade to black and then they're sitting in an armchair somewhere around a fire? You could have them sitting in a different location every week. Like, one day they're in a campfire, one day they're around a campfire, one day they're up a mountain, one day they're in a car.
Yes, I was going to say, what they should do is one of the cars that's been in the comparison, they both get into that car. And then they do the news from inside the car that they've been comparing.
Just during the comparison, just no cuts, one take, just straight from the comparison into the news.
Yes, one of the presenters would get out of their car and into the other one and go, we're going to take a break from this comparison to do the news.
That would actually work.
And then you'd get back out again and go, right, let's continue with the challenge.
That is actually quite a good idea. Then they could
See,
also
I
talk...
didn't plan any of this before we started this. I'm just having ideas. And...
Let us
anyway.
know what you do in the comment down below, because thanks to the way that podcasts work these days, you can talk to us. So do that.
Or if you think we should write the script for this new show, you're more than welcome to put us in touch with the television people.
Yes! Or if you are a television people, there's emails easily findable. What do you mean, why are you watching YouTube? It is technically feasible that someone who has worked on Top Gear has watched our videos, or a video. Have you, like...
Possible.
Have you ever, when you think about it, it is mathematically not impossible that, like, a celebrity has watched our videos. Or, like, the kid of a celebrity.
Kid of celebrity. Possibly. It is a possibility.
Yeah. Right, where were we? What else? So, would you do specials?
Probably not, because some of the episodes in themselves being comparisons between cars in different locations are kind of different enough already.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes if they were cheap car challenges instead of comparisons,
Yeah.
and it sort of mixes it up enough already.
But I think you should. There should be like a bi-yearly Christmas special.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
so
quite a
it's
good idea,
rare
especially
enough
when it's
that
kind of
it's
not
like
attached
an
to a
event.
series.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
it's like an event more than an actual episode. Do we have anything more to add to the subject?
I don't think so. I think we've covered Top Gear and the Grand Tour
Yeah.
quite thoroughly.
And what we would do with it. BBC, hire us. We would be excellent for it. Would you want a job as a Top Gear host?
Oh,
Because
don't think I
think
would.
of the pressure.
no.
Think of the amount of hate that would come toward that would be sent towards you originally.
Yeah, I'd be a fifth gear host.
I'd do the new Dave
Nobody
thing,
really cares about that. Yeah, I saw that.
which I still haven't watched. It might be terrible. I might not do it.
Well, maybe you should. It would improve it.
Oh,
We'll
well,
find
we
out
don't know
when
if
we
I
watch
haven't
it.
watched it yet. I need to watch it. Because from the trailer, it actually looks quite funny as a watch it once and forget about it sort of show.
Excellent.
Would
I shall
I
do that
do
one
it?
day.
I think I would. Just because I'm vain. To have my name on the telly would be quite cool.
It would be quite hard to say no if
Yeah.
somebody said, "Do you want to be a Top Gear presenter?"
Yes! Can you drive a car and talk? Yes! Can you drive a car and talk well? Yes! Can you work on TV every day of your life?
Well, you don't have to.
Well,
That's one of the brilliant things about TV. You go and film something, and then some other people spend years editing it.
like the Christmas specials that are clearly filmed in July.
Yes.
I hate it when quiz shows do it because it's so obvious that it's not Christmas because no one is thinking of festive answers or like is in any way indicating that it's Christmas. And it's like a quiz show. How hard can it be to film that like end of November? Especially if it's the
Exactly.
chase, where Bradley Walsh just says the same 10 lines over and over again. I could be him. I know all the lines. Gotta
It's
be.
not real.
He could be AI generated. Oh, wait, how have we got so sidetracked? Anyway.
Well, it's television. It's related.
Yes. Speaking
Sort
of being related and television, if you were here for the Top Gear, that's over. Now, we're moving on to a more video game / getting to know us, your hosts, a little bit. Petrol. If
Yes.
you didn't make video... I don't know what just happened to my car. It did something very interesting. A short segment. If you didn't make videos on Forza or just car games in general,
Car games. Ooh.
what would you make them on? What would you film yourself doing? Or would you even film yourself doing something?
Probably not. I would potentially do other games that didn't involve cars.
What games, for example?
That is a good question. I can't remember the last time I played an interesting game that didn't have cars in it.
Minecraft modded we did together. For like
Yes,
3
I would
episodes
do
and then gave up.
Minecraft. That would be brilliant.
That's what I was thinking as well, Minecraft, because I get many views when I do tutorials. But apart from that, it doesn't particularly go very well. But I think that is probably what I would do, Minecraft.
But otherwise, if I wasn't doing Forza, I would make modded Test Drive Unlimited videos.
I'd do the crew.
So why aren't we doing that? Why
Because
do you
we are
make
playing a game
videos on
I
a game you
hate.
don't like.
Yes, that
Or
is the
hate.
next. That was a sort of side topic. It just says, why does Fail
Yes,
play
we
a
kind
game
of got
he
there
hates?
anyway.
I don't hate it anymore because because I'm playing less of it. I think I prefer it when I don't play as much of it. So all I do in Forza is these videos, well,
And the
not
racing
these videos,
series.
and the Doge Racing Series.
That's basically all I do now.
Because the more
Well, I
time
do
you
probably go
spend
and
on
get
it,
into
the
new
more
cars, but-
frustrating it is. Because it's just... Online isn't particularly fun. The map isn't that interesting.
No, we've kind of done this game now.
Yeah,
They need
it's
a new one.
yeah. Has there been a second expansion already?
Yes, it was the Rally one.
Oh yeah, that was memorable.
It was Hot Wheels and Rally.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
both of
think
those
also,
weren't memorable.
for me, what's made this game seem better is the release of Motorsport.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Let's just say that's not really gone as well as they hoped it would.
What, the built from a ground up game wasn't that good? Well, I mean,
So
if you build
I've
something
complained
from the
about
ground
this
up,
many
then
times
it
in
surely.
videos.
If you build a game from the ground up, you can't expect it to work immediately. Let's be honest.
That's true, and it does depend on how solid the foundations were.
Yes. So, how solid
Not
were
very.
the foundations? Was it from the ground up?
Well, it was based on old games which weren't very solid in the first place. Anyway, but also this game has improved slightly. The updates have got better than they were.
You crashed
It's still not brilliant.
36
Yes, it
minutes
crashed.
ago.
That's new. And they added the DBS back, which I've been asking for years.
That sort of semi-topic is over now. If you're
Yes,
interested
it is.
in our talking about us and racing games and YouTube, now's your opportunity to turn off, because it's a new year,
It is. It's 2024.
which means the Doge Racing Series, our racing series, every Sunday on my YouTube channel, every Monday on Petrol's YouTube channel, that we do every week, is over. The 2023 season is over. We have our winners.
Yes, it is.
They are Steve Imido, X124FG1234, and Affable Elf, I do believe.
Yes. That sounds like the right order, given...
That sounds
Given the
that
races.
sounds about right. We should have maybe opened the document before we talked about this, especially considering you're so
For
far
anybody
behind. I might as
watching,
well
you
do
can
it.
expect those people to be fast if you tune in this year.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Formula One, except that we're all in the same car, so the driver's skill actually does make a big difference.
Yes.
So
And if you're fans of Forza Motorsport, I also do a version on there that's slightly less successful.
I don't do that because I don't have Forza Motorsport and I don't intend to have it anytime soon. So, Petrol, your favourite Okay, first we're going to say the favourite moments. Then the question
On
will
this
be
game?
on the Doge Racing Series from 2023. Like the favourite moment.
From 2023.
First
I
the
see,
favourite moment, then the funniest moment, and finally, this will be afterwards, driver of the year.
Yes. Oh,
But first, favourite moment.
favourite moment. I can think of some funny moments.
The one that keeps coming back to me, the
I don't know if that's just 'cause
BAC
they're
Mono Horizon
that was
Majesty
good.
circuit, Mexico circuit.
Oh yes, that was madness.
The overtaking was like one of the cleanest races. It was one of the most racing. It was so much racing. Your overtake. There was
Oh,
a
yes.
battle between Super Tree, I think, and myself, like for multiple laps. And out of nowhere, this guy just comes through and just takes both of us in one corner, and it was the most spectacular thing I'd ever witnessed. So for me, that is the moment of the year. What about you?
So well, the only bit that I included uncut in my highlights video was when we built our own GT3
Oh, that was
cars. There was a custom route that was excellent, and I was keeping up with Steve on the final lap.
Oh, was this for P2 then, or P3?
Yes, Exeter only won
yes.
because he took a very fast car. Anyway,
So final lap,
Some people practice
final lap.
this pretty
You're
much.
battling Steve for second. So
Yes.
traditionally, Steve would
sort of
annihilate
following
you.
Steve for second. Yes, for anyone who doesn't know,
Tell us what happened
he,
next.
he got the most points this year. Well, that's about.
Oh,
what
you didn't
happened,
actually
really.
overtake him. Oh,
No.
that was a bit of a letdown. I was hoping for like an excellent tale of excitement and last corner overtakes.
It was a very exciting lap. You'd have to watch it.
What's the murder? No, that was 2022. Okay, never mind. Where I murdered you in a mini.
The Caymans that we kicked off the year with
They were
was
also
also quite good.
What about the funniest moment?
Well, I don't know if it's just because it's recently, but the
Yes.
limos, partly in the Winter Wonderland circuit, and partly when you died, which I didn't actually see at the
For
time.
me,
At Horizon Mexico.
that was the last race of the year, and that was the funniest moment of the year. So basically, side by side, been battling for two or three laps, and the guy I was racing had a desync issue and absolutely murdered me. Like, pushed me about 100, 200 meters past the track. It was the most hilarious thing ever. I was furious at the time, but after watching it back, it was brilliant. So, one last question before we end our podcast. Driver of the year.
Driver of the year.
I know who I'm gonna say.
I think I'm going to say that Dan the Man is driver of the year.
I was also going to say Dan the Man.
I believe he finished 4th in the end, didn't he?
He did. He overtook 5 people in the last month. Like, this is an overall standing. You need to understand, every week there is like 26 points is the maximum you can get. So Steve has like over 1,000 points. There's a bunch of people like with under 100. There's a bunch of people between 200 and 500. There's a few with 600. Dan the Man, in 1 month, overtakes 5 of us on points. And it wasn't if I'm remembering this correctly, it wasn't a good season start for them. It was a low midfield, at best, for the first few months, or first 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't 4th fastest when he joined.
Yeah.
So,
out of nowhere, this guy comes and overtakes everyone.
well, the thing is, I
Amazing.
didn't even really notice until he was like 5 points behind me, and then I was like, oh, hang on.
Yeah. Well, I was in the limos. I was useless at them, and he was apparently just a god at driving the
we
limo.
decided to send limos over skate ramps.
Yes, we
But
got
anyway.
slightly distracted after he overtook us in one of the corners, and we basically just gave up. Silly season is December, so don't expect actual racing then. Apart from, well, you can, but chaotic racing.
Yeah, so go and watch that if you want chaotic racing, and then we'll have sensible racing coming soon.
Well, it's already out. The
Well,
Vipers
yes,
are
it
quite
started.
good. Well, Petrol,
What's an excellent racing series?
would you like to end our podcast this fine day?
Yes, we've got yes, it's Mike's out, and away we go. That rounds it out for today's podcast.
Thank you very much for
Maybe
listening.
back with another one at some point.
Yeah, hopefully less than 6 months, or however many months it was since the last one. Subscribe for more, let us know what we can improve.
Yes, and what car to drive next time.
Yes! Bye!